This is the second part of a tutorial on action scripting. You can see the first part of the tutorial by going to this YouTube address. So what did we do last tutorial? What we've done is we've created all these objects. We have created this one as a button called button test animation. This is our knight, an arrow and some targets. We've created two separate targets, and this arrow we have actually animated, if we go to the timeline, to fly over, but only when we go to frame 2. So at the moment we've got a stop script at the beginning and a stop script at the end, and this animation happening in the middle. So when we get our arrow here, it's stopping on frame 1, and now we're going to program it so that it goes to frame 2 and then heads over there. So now I need to program the button. So if I go to the button, now I'm just going to double check that that's a button and it's called BTN test animation. Now, because I'm lazy and I don't like to retype things, I'm going to copy that, just this name up here, and I'm going to make sure that I am in the first frame of the animation. Now, sometimes it's good if you have a lot of scripts to create another layer and call it the script layer. And I'm going to put my scripts on that. So, actions. Now, what I need to do is I need to have the name of the button, which I've just copied and pasted there. And then we're going to have .onRelease, which means when I release the mouse from the button, and I'm going to create a function. I'm going to make sure that the word function is spelled right.
It's gone.
So make sure that I spell function right, and I put in the brackets, which are the arguments. At the moment we don't have any arguments. Arguments are a way to pass information to a script. And I'm going to, I'm going to add an open bracket here. Now the first thing whenever I do an open bracket, because everything that starts has to end, I'm going to also add a close bracket. Now what that means is that anything between that open and close bracket, anything that I put here, is going to happen when I click on button test animation. So at the moment I'm going to add a trace just to test that out. So a trace is just a message for the programmer that outputs when you actually click on the button here. The reason that we do this is so that we can test whether this part's working before we try anything else. Because if we put in actual code here that should work, we don't know where the error is if there's an error that occurs. So I'm going to play it, and I'm going to click on this button, and if you'll notice down here in output, we get you rock. Now, you don't actually have to delete that. What you can do is because later on you might need it again and you don't want to have to type it again, you can add a double backslash. Now that double backslash will make anything after it grey, and that means that the computer will totally ignore that line within your program code. So you can actually use that to write explanations to yourself of what you've done. So here I can go end function, which helps when you've got a lot of brackets. Now, what I'm going to do here is I want to tell this arrow to go to frame 2. So I'm going to use _root, which is the name of the root of the document. So it's like a pathway. And I'm going to say .shot, because we called it shot. Hopefully, I'm just going to double check that. Yep, the instance name up here is shot. And if I go back down here to the frame here, that's my selection and I can use that. And I'm going to go to _root.shot, go to and play. Notice the capitals. And I'm going to tell it frame 2. Now, remember up here I said that we're not going to pass any information to this function? Here we're passing some information, and that information is that the frame number of where you want it to go to and play. So I can now, that code should make the arrow, which is called shot, go to and play frame 2. Let's try it. Great, exactly what we want. So now let's add some other cool features. An arrow without much sound isn't very good, So we're going to add some sound to the arrow so it makes a swish sound as it goes towards the target. So we need to double click on the arrow to go inside of it. And obviously we don't want this on frame 1, or otherwise it's going to be happening every time, every second or so. So we're actually going to go to frame 2 and we're going to put it on this frame here. Now for organisation, we're going to have another layer and call it sound. Now I need to have a keyframe wherever I'm going to start the sound. So I'm going to start it on frame 2. So I'm going to insert a keyframe. Now I have previously downloaded a sound from FlashKit, which is a website on the internet where you can download free sound effects and sound loops and things like that. I'll put the website address in the description. So if I go to File and Import, and I want to import to the library, and we'll wait a couple of seconds. Here we go. Now I've just placed it on my desktop. I've downloaded an MP3. Somewhere. So I'm just going to go, because I know I did it this morning, I'm going to go to today, and these are all the files that I've used today. Oh, there it is. Nice swish sounds.mp3. So I'm going to import that to the library. Now, nothing seems to have happened here, but if you have a look at the library now you have the swish sound in there. So I'll play that just to test that it's the right sound. I'm going to make sure that my slider here and the frame number 2 is selected, and I'm just going to drag that across to the stage at the moment. Now you'll notice nothing changes on the stage, but you actually have a swish sound here as you run it. So if I scrub that, it's going to play for the second that it lets loose.